It started with a limp, how I realized I was walking all wrong. It didn't begin with a fall or a doctor's warning or even a major injury. It started with a limp, a small, quiet limp that crept in when I least expected it. I remember the morning clearly. I was on my usual walk around the neighborhood. Nothing special, just a slow loop, maybe 20 minutes. I'd done this walk hundreds of times over the years. It had become my comfort zone, my morning ritual, the way I greeted the day. But this time, about halfway through, I felt a twinge in my right knee, then my hip, then something in my lower back. It was subtle at first, but enough to make me shift my step. I started favoring one leg, and before I knew it, I was limping. It's nothing, I told myself. Just a little soreness. Probably slept funny. It'll pass. But it didn't. The next day, I walked again, and the limp was still there. Not terrible, not painful exactly, but noticeable. Enough that my neighbor Doris looked at me and asked, "You all right, hun? You're walking like you've aged 10 years overnight." That stung more than I let on. Because in that moment, I realized something. I had aged. Not all at once, not in a dramatic way, but little by little. My body had changed. And I hadn't adapted. I was still walking like I did in my 30s. Same stride, same posture, same mindset. But my bones, joints, and muscles weren't the same anymore. They needed something different, something smarter. That limp? It was my body trying to get my attention. I went home that day and sat with a journal, trying to trace it back. When had the discomfort started? Had I been ignoring warning signs? I realized I had felt stiffness in the mornings more frequently. My balance wasn't as sharp as it once was. And stairs? Well, I had quietly started avoiding them when I could. Here's the thing. No one tells you. We assume walking is simple, natural, automatic. And yes, it is, until our bodies begin to shift. With age. Then, every habit we've built, how we plant our feet, how we swing our arms, how we carry our weight, begins to either help or hurt us. I had been hurting myself without realizing it. I wasn't walking wrong because I was careless. I was walking wrong because I hadn't learned how to walk right for my age. I didn't rush to the internet for answers right away. I listened first. I observed. I paid close attention to how my body moved throughout the day. I noticed how I would lean forward slightly when I walked, almost like I was bracing myself. My shoulders were rounded, my knees locked with each step. I wasn't striding. I was shuffling. And here's what really struck me. I wasn't alone. At the park, I started watching other older adults as they walked. Some dragged their feet, others took stiff, cautious steps. A few leaned heavily on one leg. Almost everyone seemed like they were compensating for something, silently adjusting to some ache or imbalance. And the worst part? They probably thought they were doing just fine, just like I had. It wasn't until I saw a video online, an interview with a physical therapist, that things began to click. He talked about how walking like you always have is the number one mistake older adults make. He explained how poor walking posture can lead to knee strain, hip issues, even falls. And he said something that stopped me cold. Walking is either healing your body or slowly breaking it down. There's no neutral. That line haunted me. Was I really breaking my body down with every step? I dove into research. I started learning about posture alignment, stride length, joint pressure, and core engagement. And I realized I had a choice. Keep walking the way I always had and continue wearing my body down, or learn to walk smarter. So, I made a decision. I was going to relearn how to walk. Not like a child learning for the first time, but like an older adult choosing to walk consciously, intentionally, safely, gracefully. The first few days of this shift were uncomfortable. I had to retrain my posture, lift my chest, engage my core, relax my shoulders. I had to shorten my stride and focus on rolling through my feet. I paid attention to where I was placing my weight, how I moved my arms, how my head balanced over my spine. I felt awkward at first, like I was overthinking something that should be instinctive. But then something beautiful started happening. The limp began to fade. My knees hurt less. My lower back stopped throbbing after walks. And for the first time in a long while, I actually enjoyed walking again. I started feeling lighter, not just physically, but emotionally too. I wasn't bracing for pain or worrying about falling. I was moving with trust. That trust changed everything. This first part of my journey wasn't about discovering some secret exercise or miracle cure. It was about realizing how deeply our habits shape our health, and that even something as simple as how we walk can be transformed if we're willing to pay attention. Looking back, I'm grateful for that limp. It forced me to stop and listen. It was the whisper before the warning. And because I listened, I've been able to rebuild my strength one step at a time, literally. And now, when I walk tall. I walk consciously. I walk like my health depends on it, because it does. The hidden dangers of everyday walking. Before I learned how to walk the right way for my body and my age, I used to think walking was the safest form of exercise. Everyone said it. Doctors, health blogs, even friends at church. Just keep walking. That's all you need to do. And for a long time, I believed them. But after that limp started and I began paying closer attention to how I was walking, something strange happened. I started noticing things I'd overlooked for years. I noticed that after every walk, my knees were swollen. Not terribly, but enough that I'd need to sit and elevate them. I thought it was just age. I noticed that when I walked for more than 20 minutes, my lower back would begin to tighten, like it was trying to hold me together. Again, I dismissed it. I'm just getting older, I'd say to myself. But that wasn't it. It wasn't just age. It was how I was walking. We often talk about walking like it's an automatic, low-impact activity. But what we rarely acknowledge is that as we age, the very act of walking, if done carelessly, can become one of the most damaging things to our joints, muscles, and even bones. Let me explain. When we're younger, our bodies compensate more easily. Poor posture, uneven strides, lazy gait. Our muscles and joints can absorb the imbalance. But once you hit your 50s and beyond, every small misalignment begins to add up. The arch of your foot flattens just a little. Your knees take more pressure with every step. Your hips rotate more than they should. And before you know it, your walk becomes a slow-motion injury that repeats itself day after day. That's what happened to me. And I didn't even know it. Here are the hidden dangers I learned the hard way, and I want to share them with you, because they might just save your knees, your hips, and maybe even your independence. Overstriding. This was one of my biggest mistakes. I used to take long, stretched-out steps, thinking I was covering more ground and getting a better workout. But what I didn't realize is that overstriding causes your heel to slam into the ground, sending shock waves up your leg. That force pounds your knees and hips, especially if you're walking on concrete. The truth? Shorter, quicker steps are not only gentler, they're more effective for balance and posture. Locked knees. I'd never paid attention to my knees while walking until I watched a video that showed how many older adults unconsciously walk with their knees stiff, almost locked. That was me. Every step was a jolt to the joint. No wonder my knees ached afterward. Walking with slightly bent knees cushions your joints and protects your bones. It's like having built-in shock absorbers, but only if you use them. Slouched shoulders. And forward head posture. I didn't even realize how much I was hunching forward until I saw myself in a reflection one day. My head was way in front of my body, and my shoulders were rounded forward like I was carrying invisible weights. This posture not only throws off your balance, it strains your neck and lower back and contributes to falls. It also restricts your breathing. I was taking shallow, stressed breaths and didn't even know it. Now I consciously lift my chest, relax my shoulders, and keep my head aligned with my spine. I feel taller, more stable, and yes, more confident. Uneven weight distribution. Most of us have a dominant side, and we subconsciously lean into that side when we walk. For me, it was my right leg. I was putting 60% of my weight on that side with every step. Over time, that created muscle imbalances, joint strain, and uneven wear on my shoes. Once I learned how to distribute my weight evenly, walking became smoother, and the limp that had haunted me began to fade. Walking without engagement. This one surprised me the most. For years, I had walked passively, just letting my legs move me forward without engaging my core or thinking about my posture. But that kind of walking is like driving a car with loose steering. You're more likely to drift off track. Engaging your core, just lightly, not rigidly, adds support to your spine and helps you stay upright. I also began to consciously use my glutes with every step. It felt strange at first, but now I can't not do it. 6. Ignoring the surface beneath you. I used to walk the same path every day. A sidewalk with uneven concrete and occasional cracks. I didn't think twice about it until I tripped over a loose stone one day and barely caught myself. That was my wake-up call. As we age, walking on hard, uneven surfaces can increase our fall risk and cause subtle joint trauma. Now, I vary my routes. I walk on grass when I can, wear shoes with proper cushioning, and look where I'm going. Not just ahead, but down. What amazed me most was how all of these bad walking habits had become normal. I wasn't being lazy or careless. I just hadn't learned how to walk in a way that supported my aging body. Once I understood these hidden dangers, it was like a switch flipped in my mind. I stopped treating walking like a mindless routine and started treating it like a daily opportunity for healing, for renewal, for strength. Now, when I see older adults walking with stiff legs, hunched backs, or dragging feet, I feel compassion, not judgment. Because I know they're doing the best they can with the information they have, just like I was. But imagine what could happen if more of us knew better. If more of us were taught that walking can be either medicine or poison, depending on how we do it. Imagine the falls we could prevent, the surgeries we could avoid, the independence we could protect. That's why I'm sharing this, because once you start walking with awareness, with intention, you realize that every step is a chance to build yourself up, not break yourself down. And the best part? It's never too late to begin. The shift that changed everything. I wish I could tell you there was one magical moment that changed everything for me. That I woke up one day, adjusted my stride, and never felt pain again. But the truth is, real change crept in quietly, just like that limp had. It started with a decision, a small one, but it was mine. After realizing how my everyday walking habits were hurting me, I committed to learning how to walk in a way that supported my aging body. I didn't want to lose my independence. I didn't want to dread walks or struggle to get out of a chair. I wanted to feel strong, stable, alive again. So, I made a shift, not just in my body, but in my mindset. I stopped seeing walking as a task. I began seeing it as training. Not Olympic-level training, of course, but everyday, mindful, life-giving training. Something I could do with purpose. Something that could rebuild my body step by step. The first thing I did was slow down. Not because I couldn't move fast, but because I needed to relearn my walk from the ground up. Every morning I gave myself 15 minutes to walk like I was studying my own movement. I paid attention to everything, how my foot hit the ground, how I carried my weight, what my arms were doing. I wasn't just walking, I was observing. And let me tell you, those first few sessions were eye-opening. I noticed that I was placing my heel down too hard, like I was stomping the earth. I saw how I pushed off with the ball of my foot inconsistently, sometimes not at all. I realized that I hardly used my glutes, my backside muscles at all. No wonder my hips were weak. So I began making small corrections. I started with my posture. I imagined a string pulling the crown of my head gently upward. That simple visual cue helped me lift my chest and realign my spine. I relaxed my shoulders, let them drop naturally, and rolled them back slightly. I kept my gaze forward, not down at the ground, and made sure my chin was level. This was harder than I expected because I'd spent years looking down when I walked. But that forward gaze gave me better balance and helped reset my confidence. Then I worked on my core. Now, I'm not talking about six-pack abs or crunches. I mean the deep, supportive muscles around my abdomen and back. I learned to engage them gently, just enough to give my spine some support, like bracing before a sneeze or gently zipping up an imaginary jacket around my midsection. It made a huge difference. With my posture and core engaged, I turned to my stride. I shortened my steps, not to go slower, but to go smoother. Instead of trying to cover ground, I tried to connect with each step. I focused on a full rolling motion from heel to toe. My foot would land softly, roll forward with intention, and push off with control. And instead of walking stiffly, I added a gentle arm swing. It helped with rhythm and balance. It also helped me feel more in sync, as if my whole body was working together instead of isolated parts just trying to survive the movement. This was the shift. I went from walking on autopilot to walking with awareness. It wasn't easy. It took effort. At times I'd forget and fall back into old habits, shuffling, slouching, locking my knees, but I didn't beat myself up. I just corrected, gently, and kept going. One major turning point came when I watched myself on video. Had asked my daughter to film me walking before and after I made these changes. The difference was staggering. In the before clip, I looked tired, stooped, and slightly unstable. In the after clip, I stood taller, walked smoother, and looked like I had purpose. That video gave me something I hadn't felt in a while: hope. Because I saw with my own eyes that change was possible, that aging didn't have to mean decline, that I had power over how I moved and how I felt. Another major moment came when I added a walking stick, not for support, but for awareness. I didn't need a cane, but a lightweight walking stick helped me engage my posture. It reminded me to walk tall and plant each step mindfully. I eventually phased it out, but it was an amazing transitional tool. Over time, my pain began to fade, my limp disappeared. The tightness in my lower back relaxed, my knees stopped throbbing, and, unexpectedly, my mood improved. I felt proud after my walks, not worn down. I started looking forward to walking, not dreading it. I slept better. I moved better. I lived better. This shift didn't happen because of a fancy program or expensive treatment. It happened because I chose to change the way I walk. I chose to become present in my own body. And I realized something else. Walking this way isn't just about avoiding pain. It's about building strength, building stability, building confidence, building a future where I can walk with my grandchildren, take trips, climb stairs without fear or fatigue. Now, when I walk, I think of it as movement medicine. Every step is a pill I don't have to take. Every breath of fresh air is a therapy session. Every improved stride is an investment in my future health. That shift, from walking for exercise to walking for alignment, awareness, and strength, truly changed my life. If you're listening to this and thinking, it's too late for me, let me say this. It's not. If you can stand, you can start. If you can take one step, you can take another. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it intentionally. That's the beginning of everything. My simple daily walking routine. Once I made the shift in how I thought about walking, the next question I asked myself was simple. Now what? Awareness was one thing, but I needed a routine, something I could follow every day without it feeling overwhelming. I didn't want a complicated checklist or a military-style drill. I wanted something peaceful, purposeful, and most importantly, doable, even on my slower days. So I created a simple, personal walking routine. It wasn't fancy. It didn't require equipment or a gym, just a pair of supportive shoes, a little bit of space, and my willingness to show up each day. Let me walk you through it, step by step. Step 1. The gentle warm-up, 5 to 7 minutes. Before I take a single step, I warm up my body. Now, I used to skip this part. I thought warming up was only for runners or athletes. But as I aged, I realized that warming up is crucial for avoiding injury and waking up sleepy joints and muscles. Here's how I begin. Neck rolls. I gently roll my head in a circular motion 5 times in each direction. It relieves tension in my neck and helps with posture. Shoulder rolls. I roll both shoulders up, back, and down in big, slow circles, 10 times. This loosens tightness and opens up my chest. Arm swings. I swing my arms gently back and forth, crossing them in front of my chest, then opening wide, like a slow hug. I do this for about 30 seconds to activate my upper body. Knee lifts. Holding onto a chair or wall, I lift one knee at a time, like marching in place. 10 on each side, slow and steady. Ankle circles. I lift one foot slightly off the ground and draw circles with my toe, 5 in each direction. Then I switch legs. This preps my ankles and helps with stability. These few minutes warm up my blood, flow, increase my awareness, and get me in the right mindset for walking. They also reduce stiffness in the joints, something I used to struggle with every morning. Step 2. Posture check. Just 30 seconds, but essential. Before I head out the door, or even start walking indoors, I take 30 seconds to run a quick posture check. I stand still, feet hip-width apart, and check these 5 things. Head tall. Chin parallel to the ground, not jutting forward. Shoulders relaxed. Down and back, not hunched. Core gently engaged, like bracing for a gentle tap on the belly. Glutes slightly active. A tiny squeeze, just enough to feel supported. Breathing deeply, I inhale through my nose, exhale through my mouth. This moment grounds me. It's like a reset button before I take my first step. Step 3. The mindful walk, 15 to 25 minutes. I don't walk with music or headphones anymore. Instead, I walk with intention. I call this my mindful walk. It's not about speed or distance, it's about quality. Here's how I do it. Stride control. I take shorter, smoother steps, not too long. I focus on landing gently on my heel, rolling through the sole, and pushing off with my toes. Arm movement. I let my arms swing naturally with my stride, not too stiff, not too floppy. This keeps me balanced and gives rhythm to my walk. Breathing. Pattern. I breathe in through my nose for 4 steps, then out through my mouth for 4 steps. This keeps me calm, energized, and centered. Foot awareness. Every few minutes, I mentally scan my feet. Am I shuffling, slapping the ground, or am I gliding and rolling smoothly? This habit helps me avoid the return of old patterns. And here's something else I do. Every 5 minutes or so, I pause and recheck my posture. Not dramatically, just a quiet check-in. It's like tightening the screws before things start to wobble. On days I feel tired, I walk for 15 minutes. On better days, I go for 25. I don't push myself to exhaustion. I stop while I still feel good, so I'll want to do it again tomorrow. Step 4. The cool down and rebalance, 5 to 7 minutes. After walking, I never just stop and sit. That's what I used to do. and it left my muscles tight and my back aching. Now, I take a few extra minutes to cool down and stretch. Here's my simple cool down, slow pacing. I gradually slow my pace until I come to a natural stop. This helps my heart rate come down gently. Standing hamstring stretch. I place one foot on a low step or bench, keep my back straight, and hinge slightly forward, feeling the stretch in my back thigh. Quad stretch. Holding onto a wall, I bend, one knee behind me, and gently pull my foot toward my glutes. This opens the front of my leg. Calf stretch. I place my hands on a wall and step one foot back, pressing the heel down. Spinal twist. I stand tall, then twist gently from my waist, looking. Over one shoulder, then the other. This part feels like a thank you to my body. A gesture of gratitude for carrying me step by step. Bonus. My weekly rhythm. While I walk almost every day, I've found a weekly rhythm that works well for my energy levels and body needs. Monday to Friday, 20-minute mindful walks. Saturday, a longer walk, 30-40 minutes, often at a park or nature trail. Sunday, a rest day or a slow-paced gratitude stroll for just 10 minutes. That's it. No heavy equipment, no complicated instructions. Just daily consistency, gentle awareness, and intentional movement. What this routine has done for me. Since adopting this routine, my strength has improved, yes, but even more so, my confidence has returned. I walk into rooms without fear of falling, climb stairs without wincing. I stand straighter, move smoother, and feel proud of how I carry myself. This routine isn't magic, it's maintenance. It's how I care for my body, day in and day out, and most importantly, it's sustainable. If you're just starting, even 5 minutes of intentional walking can be your beginning. And if you've been walking for years without thought, this routine could be your reawakening. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need to move fast. You just need to move with purpose. Walking with power. What life feels like now. There's a kind of strength you don't see in the mirror. It doesn't show up as bulging muscles or a six-pack. It's not flashy or loud, but you feel it. In your bones, in your steps, and in the way you carry yourself through the world. That's the kind of strength I've discovered through walking. Looking back, I can hardly believe how much my life has changed from such a simple thing. Putting one foot in front of the other, with purpose. What started as a desperate attempt to get rid of pain has grown into something far greater, a renewed sense of power. Let me tell you what it feels like to walk with power now, especially as someone in my later years. I don't walk to get somewhere. I walk to come back to myself. I used to walk only when I had to, out of obligation. From the kitchen to the laundry room, from the parking lot to the store, it felt like a chore. Now walking has become a form of meditation for me. When I step outside, I'm not rushing toward a destination. I'm returning to myself. Each step is a chance to breathe deeper, think clearer, and feel grounded. There's a peace that settles over me. The world may be spinning fast, but on my walk, I slow it down. I feel the breeze. I notice the trees. I say hello to neighbors and exchange smiles. My body moves, but my mind becomes still. That quiet confidence, that feeling of being centered, that's what walking gives me now. My posture tells a new story. You can tell a lot about someone by the way they walk. Years ago, my posture spoke of fatigue, resignation, and stiffness. I didn't even realize how much it affected the way others saw me and how I saw myself. But now, my posture tells a different story. I stand tall, my shoulders are open, my stride is purposeful. I'm not hiding from the world. I'm engaging with it. I don't walk like I'm fragile. I walk like I'm capable, because I am. This shift in posture has given me more than just physical benefits. It's improved my self-esteem. When I walk into a room now, I carry with me the quiet authority of someone who takes care of their body. That confidence? It's contagious. People respond differently, and I respond differently to myself. I'm not afraid of falling anymore. Let's talk about fear, because it's real. For older adults, the fear of falling is like a shadow that follows us. It makes us hesitant. It makes us hold back. And the more we fear movement, the more we lose the very strength that keeps us steady. I used to live with that fear. I'd grip handrails tightly. I'd hesitate before stepping off a curb. I avoided uneven paths. I questioned my balance. But today, walking with awareness and training my stability has taken that fear away. I trust my legs again. I trust my center. I've practiced balancing drills, strengthened my ankles, and walked on different terrains. Now when I step onto a trail or navigate a crowd, I don't feel nervous. I feel in control. Falling isn't in the back of my mind anymore. And let me tell you, freedom from fear is one of the greatest joys of aging well. My energy levels are up, and so is my mood. Before I changed how I walked, I'd feel drained even after a short errand. My joints would ache, I'd need a nap, and my mood would dip. But I chalked it up to getting older. I now know that inefficient movement steals energy. Every limp, every misaligned joint, every tight muscle, it was all dragging me down. Once I learned to walk properly, things began to shift. I didn't feel drained after walks. I felt energized. My legs felt lighter. My breath came easier. And as my body woke up, so did my spirit. There's a connection between movement and mood that can't be denied. My daily walk now works better than a cup of coffee or a mood booster. It clears my head. It lifts the fog. It brings me joy. I laugh more. I feel hopeful. I sleep better. And that emotional resilience? It all started with changing how I walk. I've become a role model. Without even trying, one of the unexpected joys of this journey is how it's inspired others. My children and grandchildren have noticed the difference, not just in how I move, but in how I live. They've started walking more too. They ask me questions about posture and balance. My granddaughter recently said, "Grandma, you walk like a queen." That stayed with me. Neighbors have noticed. Friends from my community center have joined me on walks. I never set out to be a teacher or an example, but by simply taking care of myself, I've lit a spark in others. That's the beautiful thing about walking with power. It radiates, it spreads, it inspires. This is my new normal, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. You see, walking used to be something I endured, something I had to do. Now it's one of the best parts of my day. It centers me. It strengthens me. It reminds me that I still have control over how I age. I don't need to be the fastest or the fittest. I don't need fancy tools or perfect form. I just need to show up day after day with care and consistency. This version of me, the one who walks with power, with grace, with purpose, is the version I've always hoped I could be. And I got here not through grand gestures, but through small, steady steps. A message for you. If you've made it this far with me, I want to leave you with this. It's never too late to change the way you move. It's never too late to take your first intentional step. You don't have to walk far. You don't have to walk fast. You just have to walk with awareness. And keep walking. Let it become your ritual. Let it be your medicine. Let it transform the way you live, one stride at a time. Because when you walk with power, you're not just walking, you're claiming your strength,